There we go. I'm just chit-chatting now. Uh, so uh, uh, got that done. Um, Probably won't get to Tacoma till tomorrow. So you still have, because I have so much to cover. So there's that. Next, um, remember back the first day or maybe the second day, um, I asked for people to volunteer to be dungeon masters for Dungeons and Dragons next week. So in Canvas, um, I have now. Let me find it. People, can I make it there? Um, Here, I'll share this. Share. There's Canvas. Share. So you notice I made another group up here. Oh, I'm not seeing. Let me do it in student view. Sorry. Let me click over to student view. Student view. There we go. Now we go to people, and we go to groups, and this one, just DM1. I don't know why it put the one, and I had written just DMs. So it will only admit 5 students, right? Because I need 5. So if you have ever DM'd before, and it doesn't have to be D&D 5, although that's what we're going with, DM for me. If you have played a bunch of D&D 5 but never DM'd, DM for me. I need 5. Get in there. Jump in there. Please. The other big thing is the DMs will be playing Monday night, starting, I don't know, about 7. We'll go 7 p.m. to like 11 p.m., give or take. Hopefully, we can get it done in 4 hours. What I think I'm going to do is let's see, Alt H. Where? Oh man, I keep losing the chat because I can see you guys are chatting, but I can't see the chat. Okay, so I'm going to stop that share so I can see the chat. Oh, there it is. Okay. Thank you, Karen, for putting that up. If I'm your DM, I'll do fun voices. Play with me. So volunteer, please, please, please. On Monday night, I will run the adventure for the DMs. So I'll do the funny voices for y'all, or at least the 5 super DMs who have volunteered to do this twice. So you need to be available from like 7 to 11 Monday night to play with me online. And we'll be doing it on Roll20. And we think we have figured out a way so that I can make the adventure, and then I can share it with you. It's kind of a kludge, a workaround, because I can make you a co-DM, and then you can copy the adventure to your account, and then you can run it from your copy. So you don't have to redo all the Roll20 work. I spent the week before, the extra week of spring break. I spent most of that week trying to figure out how to play D&D online. So we're going with Roll20. That was mainly the best solution in that it was free for you. All the other solutions cost money, and I wanted to keep things cheap. That said, the adventure that we finally settled on costs $3.99, which, given, I think you've spent maybe, well, it's like $40 maybe on games and books for this, maybe 50. I don't think $4 is a lot to ask, and I'm sure one of you is going to buy it and just give the PDF to everybody else, whatever. I feel bad for the poor schmo who were using their DM, but well, Olivia, for one night, take off from your regular campaign and play with me. So let's see. Has anybody signed up?
Yes.
I still see zero. Oh, because I'm looking at 4:00. Because I'm an idiot.
Are you still in student view? I have 4 people.
I am in student view. I am in student view, and I'm in student view for the 4:00 class.
Yeah, that's
they have not. Yeah, that would be a problem.
We need one more person.
So we need one more person.
That's
Actually, we could probably get away with 4 because we only have 23 people in this class instead of the full 25. It would just mean 1 or 2 of you have to take a 5th person. But that's doable. We can get away with 4. Thank you, 4 DMs. I'm excited to play with you on Monday. I will send you. We're going to use pre-gen characters, so you guys don't have to run everybody through how to make characters. So I will send you the link to the pre-gens so you can choose what character. It's first come, first serve. In that, I'll send you the link via email, and then whoever gets back first and says, I want the paladin, you get the paladin. Okay? Please reply all when replying. Next. We won't make groups until next Tuesday. So there's that for that. Just a reminder that the character sheets for this week are due tomorrow at 5. Tomorrow during class, I'll go over the story stuff, but by then we'll know more about it. And that's due Monday. So that's the other little hardship for the DMs is that they have to get their for the group of 3, how many character sheets do we need to make? You need to make 9. 9 total. Thank you, Karen. Okay. Any other business? I don't think so. This Sunday, the games for next week are Passage and Facade. I will get those up. I've got a link to where to get them. They are both free. Facade should work in Windows 10. It does not work on Macs. But I will be playing them again on Sunday at 3. They're not very long. Passage takes exactly 5 minutes to play. Might want to play it twice, maybe 3 times. Facade, average average run through Facade takes about 20 minutes. And again, you might want to play it more than once. Yes, you can do a run in Facade in about 30 seconds. But I don't consider that really playing the game. Yeah, don't say melon. So try for a real playthrough of actually conversing with everyone. And we'll go from there. Okay. So let's get back to 3-act structure. So I'm going to go back to the whiteboard. And hopefully I can get, now I have the chat. Melon in Facade. Well, it was made by two graduate students at Carnegie Mellon. So if you say anything about Carnegie Mellon, it ends the game. It's just the way things are. So, okay. So when last we met, we had the timeline. This is 120. This is 1. This is 30. This is 90. And this is Act 1. This is Act 2. I'm sorry about my atrocious handwriting. I don't have a Wacom tablet. And this is Act 3. Okay. And you can tell the quarter, half, quarter, right? And these are actual page counts. So the interesting thing about, the first part of Act 1 on any 3-act structure is to show us what normal life is like, right? What's a typical day? How are things going? So even if it's an atypical day, so for instance, in Witness, we see the funeral and we see the trip to Baltimore, and that's all normal life, right? Funerals are part of life. And there are rituals involved in it. The food that comes in and everybody's eating, the widow sitting surrounded by women, and people coming in and offering condolences. Those are rituals that take place, not just among the Amish, but among lots of cultures, right? When somebody dies. This is oddly specific, but true. About page 17, or the 17-minute mark, generally in Hollywood movies, again, not every movie subscribes to this. Certainly, I've got a movie that it's called Until the End of the World. It is the ultimate road movie. I've been meaning to watch it because back in 1992, I saw the 2.5-hour version, which was released to studios, and there is apparently a 5.5-hour version that I just got the Blu-ray for. And while I'm guessing it's got a 3-act structure, because the 2.5-hour version definitely does. The 5.5-hour version probably doesn't hit these same notes at these minute marks, right? Because it's 5.5 hours instead of 2 hours. So this is average, but about the same. We have what's called the catalyst moment. List. And that's the thing that that changes everything, right? Um, this is what starts the story. Um, so in Witness, what's the catalyst? Somebody on chat, please. The murder. Yeah, absolutely. Um, it is. I was looking this time. The murder takes place at 16 minutes and 32 seconds, which is kind of amazing, right? And back when I was in playwriting school, um, I I read a lot of screenplays. Like I would, there was a store in Harvard Square that sold uh, screenplays that were the actual typed up 8.5 by 11 held together with those little brass clips, um, and you read them just like they were typed. Um, and the 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 challenge we had among all my fellow grad students was um, find me a screenplay where the catalyst moment doesn't happen on page 17. And we would go through all these screenplays, and every single time it would be page 16, page 17, right in there. So that starts us uh, on our journey, so to speak. Um, and for the rest of the first act, the um, the hero is trying to restore order, right? Or to get out of everything, to go back to their normal life. Um, so in this case, um, the well, here's the other thing: we don't get uh, the hero of our story until just after the catalyst. Here, we get John Book coming in because of the murder. Right? Think about this: Star Wars, A New Hope. Um, the normal world that the movie opens with is a world where Princess Leia's ship is fleeing. There's constant war. Darth Vader is killing people. Um, everybody's running around crazy, and the droids escape. Um, and that whole escape through the Jawas, um, that's all the first 17 minutes, more or less. And what's the catalyst moment? Well, we don't meet Luke until about 15 minutes into the movie. And if we can all agree that Luke Skywalker is the hero of A New Hope, even though he's whiny and annoying at that point. But he has a character arc. He grows. So, Star Wars: A New Hope. What's the catalyst moment? Leia's message to R2D2. Help me, Obi-Wan. You're my only hope. Absolutely. Got it in one. So that is the moment that sends Luke on his journey, right? Um, so, uh, uh, but both Luke and John Book are on the journey in the first act. Book this is what he does. This is still the normal world. I'm finding the bad guy. I'm gonna find and arrest the bad guy. I've got a witness. I'm gonna do this. Everything is still normal, right? Um, and at the end of Act One, um, it is the um, no turning back, or the point of no return. The no return moment. Um, oh, um, the murder of the aunt and uncle in Star Wars. Sure, that is the point where he can't go back because there is no home to go back to. What about John Book? And I'm sorry, we're spoiling a movie from 1977 that uh, most of you have seen. I would say the vast majority of you have seen it. When the kid points at Danny Glover's character, um, can John Book still go back from that? When he finds out the cop did the murder, um, he's still got options, right? In fact, he goes to the chief and says, McPhee's in on it. We've got to take care of this. I haven't told anybody. It's just you and me. When he gets shot, um, yes. I mean, it's a little hazy because uh, he's shot, and that's when he knows that the chief is in on it, so he can't go back to being a police. But he's still got the plan to drop off the the Amish people and go back to the world and be a cop, right? Um, the point when John Book takes the Amish to his sister, no, that's way earlier. Think about when everything changes in the movie, right? Um, the big thing that happens is when he crashes into that bird house, right? That's when he's not going back to the world. Yeah, when he's injured at the Amish house. He's not going back to the world. He is, he's here, and he's either going to live or die among the Amish. And think about the whole second act of Witness. It's, if you could name it, um, the name of Act Two is Become Amish. Yeah, my handwriting is great with a mouse. Um, uh, you know what? Witness predates Cars by many, many years. I saw a lot of uh, uh, talk in the chat about, hey, this is the plot of Cars. The funny thing is, it's a fish out of water story, but there's another movie starring Michael J. Fox called Doc Hollywood, which is exactly the plot of Cars. Go watch that one. It is a guy who's just graduated medical school who is going to LA in his new Porsche to become a plastic surgeon. And his Porsche breaks down in a little podunk town in the middle of the Midwest. And it takes forever to get the car fixed. And the whole second act is him doing things in the town that doesn't have a doctor, and he becomes the town's doctor, basically, and learns to be in doctoring for more than money. So check out Doc Hollywood if you really want to see where Cars came from, because I was watching Cars and I'm like, this is just Doc Hollywood. Anyway, so if the whole second act is become Amish, right? Remember the the graph of what do you call it, of action versus time would be like this, right? Something like that. It would keep going up. My Can I undo that? Yes, I can. Um, so it would go. Oh, boop. Um, with so there's usually a dip right about here and a dip right about here, and there might be other smaller dips in here and here. So he's got some obstacles to overcome to become Amish, right? First is heal. You know what? I'm going to go to this. Then is what? Drink tea. What else do we have? We've got milk, cow. He fails. Yeah, build barn is a big one. He fails with. Oh yeah, give up gun. I would say building the barn is kind of the big set piece of the second act. There's dress plain, right? Meet Daniel, yeah. What else? Bond with Samuel, right? What else does he do? He uh, uh, falls in love with Rachel. And those are all, well, not obstacles, but things that he does in the course. Those are each thing. Will they, won't they, with the Rachel? Yeah, but think about this: if you are going to become Amish, you don't sleep with the person who took you in to heal you, right? That is against the Amish way. That's a very much modern city way. Is, we would expect in a movie at least that if they've been fighting in the first act and she looks after him, they in the second act they fall in love, and you would think they would sleep together by the third act, right? Usually somewhere towards the end of the second act, so that when that person is put in jeopardy in the third act, the stakes are high, right? So the big thing is what we get here I'm going to go back to the pencil, draw, draw, come on. Oh, I got to do this. Let's get that. Here, right here. Ooh, that's a different pencil. Go back to this. What we get is a huge failure. This is when the hero fails. In fact, do this right there, right just before the start of the third act. And what's his big failure? Anyone? He punches the kid. It is the most un-Amish thing he could possibly do, right? Is deck the bullies. It feels great. Everybody kind of cheers. That, ha ha ha, this bully, he's gonna pick on the Amish, but he didn't realize he got ass kicking Harrison Ford in with the Amish. So it's, and Harrison Ford opening up a can of whoop ass on bullies is fun to watch. Can't deny it. But it is a failure. It is the point where he is rejected by the Amish community, right? Because as soon as they get back, he starts packing. Eli knows he has to leave. He knows he has to leave. This whole becoming Amish is not going to work. And let me just, as an aside, there's a saying that there are only two stories ever, any kind of story. There's a hero goes on a journey, and there's a stranger comes to town. And if you think about it that way, those are actually the same story from different points of view, right? Because that stranger coming to town is the hero who has been on a journey, right? So when we do a stranger comes to town story, we have town and we have stranger, right? And there's three ways it can end. There's the stranger is repelled by the town and leaves at the end. There's in fact, I'm supposed to make the stranger the son, or a hairy stranger, right? There's town again. The stranger is absorbed by the town, and that is the I'm going to spoil Doc Hollywood and Cars for you, in that the stranger is changed by the town, and sees a way of life that's better. In this case, imagine if Harrison Ford had said, "You know what? I prefer to be Amish. I'm gonna marry Rachel, and I'm gonna become Amish." Right? I think everybody would have been howling at the end if that had happened, right? Yes, it is the plot of Avatar, exactly. Oh, geez, I'm almost out of time. Dismiss. And the third is the stranger comes to town and changes the town, right? And this is kind of the old Star Trek model, where Kirk shows up and says, "Your way of life is different." Yes, Footloose, exactly. Your way of life is wrong and bad, and I am going to fix you. And their way of life changes because the stranger has come and shown them another way, right? So getting back to this, I want to. No, it's 3:36. Why did I get the classes starting in 15 minutes? I don't know. Okay. So this is what I call this right here, this gray circle here is what I call the dark tea time of the soul. Right. And oh, that's true. It does. Oops. Okay. So this is where the hero reaches their lowest point. Right. And I keep saying hero, and that implies male somehow. But these go for rom-coms. These go for action adventure. I guess Witness is drama more than anything. I was trying to think. It's not exactly action adventure. It's not exactly hard-hitting police procedural. It's just kind of drama, right? It's about seeing what the Amish are like more than cop story, although the cop story is part of it. But we see him at his lowest moment, um, basically when we see him through Rachel's eyes at his lowest moment, when he's kind of moping about the farm and replacing the bird house, right? Um, we see him out there. He he's a lone figure. He knows he's failed. He's been rejected, and he's going to set things as right as he possibly can. Right. Um, uh, and then we get this weird. She runs out into the field and smooches with him. Right. Um, and I, looking at the chat, everybody was like, "Ah, gee, ah." Everybody was making all sorts of "gah" sounds. Um, Partially, I think, because you all decided that Harrison Ford was creepy for looking at her bathing, um, and why would she run and kiss him? Uh, and uh, you watched it with your mom, and she would not stop commenting what a bad kisser Harrison Ford is. um, okay, I don't know. Um, so yeah, they really do kind of mash lips in that. Um, but the other thing it always occurs to me that um, if you're trying to hide or uh, get rid of rumors that you're sleeping with your male house guest, maybe big smooches in the middle of the field out in front of your house is not the best way to get rid of those rumors. Um, so here's my question: uh, Did they sleep together? He was leaving in the morning. Did they just smooch? What happened after the smooch? Did they hold hands and walk back into the house? Did Eli see them? What happened there? It's this weird like smooch smooch smooch. Um, uh, See them hugging each other, holding each other as the sun sets. Um, and what what happened then? He's leaving in the morning, right? And the bad guys show up at dawn, and the rest and Act Three plays out. But did they sleep together? Carrie says no. Everybody was on Team Daniel in the chat. Sebastian says, yeah, they slept together. Um, was the smooching scene a metaphorical Danny is a man of the people? Oh, Danny slept with her. Daniel slept with her.
Nope.
No.
Daniel slept with uh, um, John. They're trying to suggest that Daniel and John had a relationship.
Yeah, I think you're just goofing on me. Um, I don't think they did. I think she retains her Amish values. Um, okay, I mean she breaks down enough to kiss him, but there was so much like, if we had slept together, I would have had to stay or you would have had to leave. Um, that and John is kind of the lawful person, and she wants to remain Amish. They give in just long enough for a kiss, and that's as much as they go. I'll go with that. Um, okay, um, so here's the thing: in Act Three, um, this is another turning point. The Act 2 to Act 3 switch, where okay, the hero has failed. They have not done what they set out to do. What all of these obstacles they tried to that they did overcome. In the end, it was for naught, and they couldn't do what they were going to do. And now they have nothing left to lose. They have been reduced to their true self, character-wise, and they have to put everything on the line. Their world is gone. Their preconceived notions about who they are gone, and they have to overcome one big obstacle here, in order to finally triumph. And it's not just there's not going back. There's no going back. But if they fail this time, everything is gone, as in their life, their immortal soul, everything, right? And the genius of this final battle with the bad cops, is that Book has to use the farm to kill the bad cops, right? He hides. He tries for the car, the symbol of modernity, the symbol of the big city, and it betrays him. It won't start. So he goes down and he uses the cows first to baffle and confuse the bad guy. Then he hides, even though he doesn't realize it. He hides on the ladder, out of sight of the bad guy. And then the best thing in the entire movie, death by corn, right? It is. How often do you see somebody killed with corn, right? If only. So we use the tools that he has gathered, but in Act 2, in his quest to become Amish, to overcome the bigger obstacle, which is the whole conspiracy of bad cops. So, in the end, and this was everybody was in the chat was saying, kid's going to shoot the bad guy. Kid's going to get the gun and shoot the bad guy, right? Because we had all that foreshadowing of John Book showing him the gun, and then Eli showing him that this is the gun of the hand that is only built for killing people, right? And Samuel saying, I would only shoot the bad men. Well, you were right. You're glad that didn't happen, though it would have compromised everything the boys stood for. You are absolutely right. In the original script, Eli did the motion like this. And if you look at his hand, he's doing this, right? Which can be interpreted as pull the rope or get the gun, right? And if a kid sees this, he might think he should get the gun. And in the original screenplay, Samuel got the gun and shot the last bad guy. And on the day that they shot it, they came up with, because they didn't know about the bell until they got the farm. There was, it was the location, and that's an actual farm in Lancaster that they rented. And they said, what if he rings the bell and calls everybody. And honestly, that is exactly how it went down. There was, I forget who suggested it. I've heard the story a dozen times, that they came up with it on the set. And as soon as they did it once, they were like, that is the ending. That is a much better ending than the one we had written. It feels weird that the scene was left in. It never had any resolution. It was just a thing that happened. It was a red herring. It was there to make you think this kid, because that is a very typical foreshadowing. Whenever somebody early in a movie shows some talent or gets trained in something, that is going to be the crucial thing that they need to overcome the final obstacle, right? So in Star Wars, we see him very early on getting zapped by the training probe, the training droid, because he won't reach out with his feelings and use the Force when they're on the Millennium Falcon. And then at the end, he has to decide between closing his eyes and feeling the Force or trusting technology, right? And he is able to succeed because he closes his eyes and uses the Force. Here, this is how a gun works, little kid. Oh, this little kid's going to need to know how a gun works, right? It is there to make you think it. Much like most of what Tacoma is to make you think bad things are going to happen, because you are used to those things happening in other stories. And that is what Tacoma is about. We'll get to more about Tacoma tomorrow. So we get the bell ringing, and our solution, once again, can I do this? Our solution is about, it is the Amish way. To take care of a man with a gun, right? Because the Amish are pacifists. The Amish won't go to war. They get conscientious objector status and either go to prison or become medics. They will not fight even when threatened. That's what we see over and over again. Now, the last thing, this denouement up here, most Hollywood movies don't bother with it. This, in older stories, the road back was just as important as the journey to begin with, right? So here we actually get a pretty long denouement, which is the cops all arriving, the John back in his tan suit, the arrest, all the radio thing, and then finally we see John Book driving off and Daniel walking up, right? And the implication is that Daniel gets the girl, right? There was actually originally filmed a scene where Book and Daniel speak. You see Book stop the car briefly, and then they cut to something else, and then you see it drive away. And there was originally a scene, of a very short scene between the two of them, where Book says goodbye to Daniel, and in a really kind of icky 80s way basically says, she's all yours, bud. Not in the so many words, but basically saying, take care of her, right? As though, well, I'm out of here. somebody's got to get the girl, so it gets to be you. And there's a certain level of ickiness, sexism, that there is no woman in this story unless there is a man who pairs off with her. So there is that. Okay, so I have my DMs. I will be sending you email later tonight, maybe tomorrow morning, about where to get stuff. I still have to set up the Roll20. Tomorrow we will do the hero's journey in Tacoma. Hope I can get all that in. Thanks y'all for coming. Stay tuned here. I'm going to stop the share. And stay safe. Don't touch your face. Wash your hands. Okay. Bye-bye.